1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Can Do Conversations Q&A edition. I am Cheryl Williams, the Can Do Mom.
I'm CJ Williams, the Can Do Dad. Thank you for being here.
Yes, we are excited to jump into your questions today.
Yes.
We want to thank you for sending those in and continue to share and bring people.
Keep sharing and bringing it to us.
We're getting a lot of
Good
questions and feedback and things coming in.
Thank you.
And it seems like last week's episodes really resonated with you guys, and so we
Awesome.
appreciate the feedback. We appreciate you sharing, and so continue to do that. And we are going to jump right into your questions today. First question is, how can I avoid letting setbacks bring me to a complete stop and maintain momentum?
Well, when you do stop, don't stop for long, and use it for your tool belt. So so you'll learn how to take care of it, and then put it in your tool belt for next time if it happens again.
Right. It's like, everyone looks at things like a setback or a roadblock or a hurdle
just a learning
as,
step.
As something that's bad. And again, it's like the connotation that you put on it. It's like, did you learn something from it? If you learn something from it and you learn the lesson, right?
Yes.
So that you don't continue to repeat the same thing over and over again. You get yourself up, you brush yourself off, and you move.
Yeah, be happy it happened early.
Yeah. And you're going to have these setbacks and challenges and hurdles and roadblocks and things standing in your way all the time. They're going to come up. And the more tools,
Definitely when you're just learning.
Right. And the more tools you have in your tool belt, the more equipped you are to handle those. You go, oh, I see it coming. Okay, I'm going to go around it. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to go over it. And yet sometimes you fall flat on your face. Sometimes you fall flat on your butt.
And get right up quickly.
You're out. And so you can wallow in it. But the best thing to do is get up, learn the lesson, and keep going. If you sit in that for a long time and you have a pity party or woe is me, or you dwell on it, or you're like, this happened to me again, why me? Well, you're losing time. You're also losing momentum. So if you fall off and you get back up, you fall down and you get back up, as long as you get back up, you're never losing. You're continuing to move forward. Even if you get a major setback and you have the lessons along the way, right?
Yes, just takes the steps to fix it.
And nobody can take those lessons from you. Those are yours. You earned those, right?
Sure.
And so take that lesson and keep moving forward in the direction of where you're wanting to go. That's how you're going to handle that and still move forward. You're still going to have the momentum. And so the stopping is going to slow down how much you're stopping for, because you're speeding up how long you're actually down and out for.
Correct.
All right, next one. How do I find more time for myself and my goals while also taking care of my children? Priorities, right? It's about
Number one.
intention. And so you can, bless you, you can have a lot of things that you're juggling. And as a parent, you have a lot. And what you don't want those things to become are excuses as to why you're not doing what you need to do, right? The kids have a lot going on. They're not feeling well. They're on, they're this, they're that, the other. It's like
they're down for a few days.
You can make the excuses for yourself. And then that's how you go to the back burner. That's how you're no longer focusing on you. Versus if you switch that and say, I have children, and because I have children, I need to take care of myself.
Your priorities
right?
early.
Perspective, shift it. I have children, and so for me to be able to be my best, for me to be able to give them what they need, I need to work on me first. I need to get up, and I need to take care of myself, and I need to fill my cup so that I can be what they need me to be throughout the day.
Check all your boxes early.
And maybe you don't have hours to be able to do that. Maybe it's 5 minutes of a focused, meditation prayer time. Maybe it's, you're getting in some reading when you can.
Write your plans and goals down.
You're getting up and you're getting that workout in. Like, you find the time, right?
Yes.
And so instead of just sitting and scrolling or sitting and laying in bed and looking at the ceiling, maybe you get up and do something, right? And so the amount of time that you can condense, how long you think about it, or you're like, I'm not gonna, and you actually just get doing it, but you can also incorporate your kids into these things, depending on the ages that they are, depending on the season of life that you're in. You might need to, change things up how you're going to do it. But that doesn't mean
they might help with breakfast.
That doesn't mean that you let yourself go completely. Maybe you need to shift. These days a week I need to do it this way. These days a week I need to do it that way. And so you figure out the ways that work for you and your schedule and your routine that you need. What you don't do, though, is not do anything for yourself, because then you're not helping yourself and you're not helping your children either.
And then your mood's going to change, and then you'll start getting grouchy and start snapping at people.
And how you handle things is going to be different. And then your kids see that, they sense that, they feel that. And you want to change and shift that as
Yeah,
well.
take some time for yourself.
Yep. How do I take ownership of my excuses and make proactive changes in my life? You just do, right? You stop making excuses and start taking action and start owning those things along the way, right? It's like I used to make an excuse about that. I'm owning that now. That's on me, right? Okay. I used to, and so it's the shift of when you see yourself
Shift here.
making an excuse, you're like, nope, I'm owning that. I'm fully responsible. I'm taking ownership. I'm moving.
Yes.
I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. I'm someone who's moving. And so you start shifting how you're seeing things.
And you'll see it and then know how you're going to take care of it already. Okay, I'm taking care of this. I know what I need to do for that. And the minute you're writing it down, you already know the steps you're going to take to get all these things done.
And that's the proactive part, right? It's like, because now you are being proactive.
You're not dwelling on it.
Instead of reactive, like, oh,
Yeah.
look what happened to me. Oh, this is this. Instead
Yes.
of, wearing that victim badge, it's like, no, I am taking, I am 100
Take it off and throw it.
and 100% fully responsible for my actions, for the results, for where
Yeah.
I'm going, for what I'm doing. And when you take that control, and instead of just saying, well, that happened to me, or I couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, you can.
No, you take
It's-
control of it for
You're
yourself.
shifting these things around, and then you have a different perspective of how you're going to handle that going
And
forward.
that'll make you a stronger person as a whole.
So change it. Don't allow yourself to gravitate towards the excuse or towards the victim side, and stay focused in on owning it and then learning from that as well, so that you
Each
don't
time.
continue to repeat
Yes.
the same thing. How do I stop going through the motions and getting clear on what I want in life, especially now that I'm a parent?
Well, you need to figure out, what do you want? And ask yourself over and over again, what do you want? And you don't know what you want? Spend time on figuring out what you need. Play some music. Take some time in the mornings for yourself. Talk to your spouse and do it together. If you're stuck, do it together with your spouse. And if you don't have a spouse, take more time for yourself to figure it out.
You've got to look inward. You've got to just stop going through the motions and saying,
Yep.
I'm busy or this or that. And you've actually got to take the time to get to know you. Most people don't
Yes.
know themselves. They
Nope.
don't know what they want. They don't know.
They never thought of it.
They're reactive.
They're
It's like,
living.
well, I'm busy. I'm busy doing all these things. Like, at the end of the day,
But
though,
nothing's getting done.
why are you doing those things? Why are you continuing down the road that you're down? And they don't know,
Right.
because they're not taking the time to go in and ask yourself these hard
Yes.
questions and get some clarity on what that is. You might not like the answer.
You're
right?
not going to.
And yet, that's not the point. You have to push past that. You have to ask yourself the hard questions over and over and over again, and then be willing to listen to the answers. And
Yes.
then here's the caveat: is you have to be willing to make a change. And most
Yeah,
people
not just keep it on paper.
do not like change, right? You have to get
No.
uncomfortable. You have to do something different than what you've been doing. You've got to shift. You've got to
the
move.
easy way.
You've got to get out of that comfortable, oh, I'm just so
Yeah.
busy running, and
Right.
actually look at yourself and say, okay, you know what? This is not working for me anymore.
No.
I don't like this. I don't want this. This is not
Nope.
who I am.
Are you happy where you are?
I'm changing up these things so that I can get to where I want
Yes.
to go.
And asking yourself, are you happy where you are? And ask yourself, do you want more? And when that answer comes to your head and you say yes, then figure out what do you want.
And what are those things that you want? Because if you feel like you're just going through the motions and you get up today and you do the same thing, and you get up tomorrow and do the same, and you never stop and ask yourself, well, why am I doing these things? Who am I? Where am I going? What is this getting me? What's the end result that I want? Am I growing? And am I any better off,
Right.
today than I was last year or
Yeah.
10 years ago? Or,
Yeah.
where am I going to be 5 years from now? Or where am I going to be next month? Or how
Or
am I
I've been
pushing
here
myself?
for 10 years.
Right.
And am I going to be here 10 more years?
Why am I at the same job I don't like and I complain
Yes.
about it, but I don't
All
ever do
the
anything
time.
about it? Why is my body the way that it is, and I'm okay with that?
Yes.
Because I just decided, you know what, it's not worth it
And
anymore.
then that rubs off on the kids.
Right. Why are my relationships the way they are? You have to start going inward and asking yourself these things instead of just going through the motions and going
Yes.
round and round and round and round. I mean, the
The rat
time
race.
flies by
Yes,
fast, right?
it goes.
And there's plenty of distractions to keep you numb and keep you out here looking at all
Yep.
this instead of going in and figuring out some clarity for yourself. And so
Yes.
most people go through life not even knowing why they're doing the things that they just go, right? They're not
Right,
making
they're just
choices.
living life.
They're just unconsciously going with the
the
flow
motions.
and then complain
Yes.
about it and like, well,
Yeah, the robot actions.
I don't know why I'm doing it, but this is the lot I have in life, or this is the cards I've been dealt. It's like, no, These are
Yep.
the cards you choose to play over and over and over again.
Yes, and refuse to change it.
You have to change it. In order for things to change, you
must
have to
change.
change.
Yes.
You've got to be the catalyst. You've got to put in the
Yep.
work. But the work comes first from you figuring
Mm-hmm.
out what the heck are you doing? What do you want? Who do you need to become? And how are
Yes.
you going to get there? And
Correct.
then start taking the action. We talk about it all the time. Talk about it. Put together a
Plan it,
plan and then take
take
consistent
action.
action
Yep.
on it. And that's how you're going to stop going through the motions and actually being purposeful behind the actions
Yes.
that you're taking.
And you'll notice a change, and you'll be happier with yourself because you're taking the action to do it.
And even if you know it's like it's going to be a while for you to get there, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know that you're doing
But
it.
you're taking the
You're
steps.
a work in progress. You're pushing towards that result that you
Yep.
want, and so now you're behind that instead of just haphazardly going through life.
Correct.
How can I create a plan to achieve my goals when my time is limited? Well, everyone's time is limited. We all have
Yeah.
the same amount of time, right?
Everybody has a clock.
We all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's what you choose
you
to
do
do
with
with
it.
those 24 hours that creates the difference,
Yes.
right? And so by already caveating that you have limited time, you're already making an excuse as to why you're not able
Yes.
to do the thing you want to do. I have limited time. Well,
Yes.
okay, you have time.
Right.
Right? What you choose to do with that time is up to you.
That's when you audit yourself and figure out what you're doing daily for you to even say that.
And it doesn't take that much time to create a plan, right?
No.
What takes the time is figuring out what the heck you want and having a conversation with yourself or with your spouse or with your children or where are we going? What are we doing? What do we want? What is,
Yes.
what are you pushing for? What do you want the end? Where are you going? And most people don't know where the heck they're going.
Nope.
And so they're just going along the way.
Emotions.
And so by having that communication, by having those conversations with yourself and others, and then you're able to then from those glean what it is that you want and what you need to do to get there. You
Yep.
put together your plan and the step that's going to take to get you there. And so
And
it doesn't
fix a schedule.
it doesn't take a lot of time to do those things. What
Yeah.
takes time is the effort that you have to put into the action.
Right.
That's what takes the time.
And once you know that, get a schedule. Put it down of what you're going to do. Are you going to get up earlier since you don't have that much time? What are you going to do extra? What are you not going to do? Are you going to sit on the couch on Netflix and whatever else and just watch TV? That's time you could be using for something else.
And normally it's not what you need to add to, it's what you need to take away. It's more simplistic than what you think it is. It's not you need to add a bunch more things in here. You actually need to take a lot of things off your plate that you're just doing, but you're not asking them, why am I doing these things, right? You've just
Yeah.
been doing them a long time, so you just keep
Right.
doing them. It's like, well, you need to take a look at where is all your time going and then audit that, because then you're going to
Correct.
find you actually have more time than you think
Yeah.
you do when you get rid of the crap that you don't want to be doing anymore or the thing that's wasting your time
Yes.
or sucking up your time.
Yep.
And then you actually have a lot more time
Yes.
to focus in on what you need to be doing. But the challenge is you have to get uncomfortable in that, because now you're not doing those things that are comfortable for you.
Nope.
You're getting uncomfortable. You're getting uneasy. You're taking the path of the unknown because you haven't done it before. And
Correct.
so that's really where it comes down to. You have the time. You just don't want to put in the effort to change up those things and get yourself to be uncomfortable
Yes.
and put yourself in those situations.
Yes, and stick to your schedule.
Have a schedule and put it together. Doesn't take time. It's
No.
the action, the consistent action over and over and over again that's going to get you the result. So don't,
Yep.
argue for your limitations and they're yours. So don't say that you don't have the time. You have the time for the things you want to have time for. You have the time for the things that are worth something to you. Make yourself worth enough that you're going to
Yes.
give yourself the time to get the result that you want.
Yep.
How can I overcome the feeling of being overwhelmed and still strive for personal growth?
Well, figure out what's overwhelming you in the first place and why is it overwhelming you. Figure it out and then figure out why. Right?
I like that. I also think, though, that
So you can fix that.
What does overwhelmed mean?
Yeah.
Normally,
Is it something
overwhelmed
small?
means you're just doing something different. And so, again, we like to slap I'm
Yeah.
feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling
Yes,
anxious.
yes.
I'm feeling fill in the blank, right? And I think what you're feeling is uneasy. You're feeling the uncomfortableness. You're feeling the,
But that's a good thing.
that's how you grow, though, right?
That's the good thing.
And so you need to embrace the unknown. You need to embrace the
And ask for
uneasy.
more.
You need to embrace the overwhelm. Say, give me more of this,
Yes.
because when I go through that, I come out the other side
Mm-hmm.
closer to who I want to become, closer to where I want to go.
Right.
And so instead of trying to avoid these things, you need to embrace them
Pile it
fully.
on.
You need to go
Yes.
all in on that.
Because you're headed in the right direction.
Experience it fully and stop slapping on labels, right? Of all these fill in the blank,
Yeah.
okay? It's like this person said they're overwhelmed. How do you overcome that?
Yeah.
You overcome it by doing, right? The more you're in action, the overwhelm is the unknown, because you're like,
Yes.
I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know what I'm doing. And so it's like, is it anxiety? Is it stress? Is it overwhelm?
No.
It could be all those things. But guess what? Someone else could look at that and say, hey, you know what? This is
Let's
great.
go.
This is what I know the change is happening. This is what I know I'm getting closer to what I want.
Because you are uneasy.
Right, because I am feeling overwhelmed. I'm embracing that. I'm moving through. I'm pushing through. Instead of saying, I don't
Yes.
want that. I don't want to be overwhelmed.
That's making you stronger.
Embrace it. Wear it. Put it on. Feel it.
Yes.
Go through all, and then keep moving. Pile it. You get stronger, right? If you walk around with weights on your arms
Yep.
and your legs and on a pack, and you're walking
Yep.
around, you're like, it feels heavy. It feels overwhelming. It's like, oh, okay, kind of daunting. When you
But once you
take
get used
those
to it-
off, though, you actually like, whoa, and you can run now because you did the extra things. You felt that. You
Yes.
moved through that.
And you did the motions
You
to do
didn't
it.
try to avoid it. And so work on embracing all of these things, because once you do something, you're like, oh, well, that was actually that overwhelming. Okay,
No.
that actually wasn't that stressful. That wasn't
No.
that bad. It's like, no,
No.
it was that the
Yeah.
fear of the unknown, because
Yes.
you hadn't done it before. That's why it looks so insurmountable to you.
Yes.
So
And then,
push.
yep. And learn how to say yes or no quickly. Get it moving.
Yep.
Don't dwell on it.
Yep. Then the more that you embrace these things,
Yes.
the more that you say yes and you keep moving
No.
forward,
No
because
for
then you
that.
can move through it, because then you're getting momentum and you're getting motion and you're doing something instead of standing and be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's happening? What's coming at me?
Yes.
What's going to come smacking at you? Versus if you're moving through it, it feels different, right?
Correct.
And so work on embracing these things instead of trying to avoid them, and you'll see how much faster you actually work through them, because you're putting in the effort. You're putting in
Yes.
the action behind that.
Yep.
What can I do to get back on track after a period of inactivity? Well,
That's
an
right.
object in motion stays in motion.
Yep.
But if the object is at rest, it stays at rest, right? If you think about a ball is sitting there. It's not in motion at all. However, it's built for motion, right? And so when you give it a little push, it rolls a little bit. But if you push it a little bit a little bit harder, it rolls more, right? If you stand at the top of a hill and you take it and
yeah.
you move this ball up there and you have it and you let it go, it goes rolling down the hill really fast,
You
right?
just have to get to that moment
And so the same
before the hill.
the same for you is sometimes you got to pick up that ball and you got to take it to the top of the hill, right? Which is the motion. You're getting stronger, you're moving, and then you let it roll and it's able to do what it's been conditioned to do, which is
Right.
roll, right? And so the more that you can be in motion, even if it's an uphill battle right now, you're climbing, you're getting there.
Yes.
Pretty soon you're going to be in the motion, so you're no longer sitting over here not doing anything. You're actually moving forward. So each step that you're taking, as hard as it is to put that next one forward, as hard as and slow in the beginning, the more you do that, the more you're in motion, so the faster it gets for you. But you can't stay in inactivity and expect a result.
But figure out why you were stagnant in the first place. And then you might need to talk about it, plan about it, and then take more action again, because it could be a reason why you stopped in the first place. Do you want to stop and continue on that same path? Or do you want to change up the path? That's why you stopped in the first place, because it wasn't taking you where you wanted to go. So you're going to talk about it, make a new plan, and then take the action so that ball can start moving again.
And I think the main thing is, like, you have to get into
Clear.
action. And so many people are afraid, well, I'm going to do something wrong. I'm not going to do it right. I'm going to
No.
do it's okay, right? You
Right.
learn by doing, right? Even when children, do they learn by saying, yeah, they learn, but how do they learn to crawl? By crawling. How do they learn to walk? By walking. Are they falling down? Is there a setback? Are they wobbly? Yes. But by doing it, they get better and better at doing it. And so now we're walking around as grown adults, not even thinking about putting one foot in front of the other, right? We're not thinking about a lot of times, learning to drive a car. That's a lot, right? How many of you, though, the last time you drove somewhere, you didn't even think about how you were getting to point A to point? You just did it. Right? Versus in the beginning, it was very cumbersome. It's like, hey, 10 and 2, gas.
They're coming close.
We're going, how do I stop? Turn signals, looking over your shoulder, making, all these, learning how to park, reverse, like all these things are a lot, parking. Right? However, if you never did them, and some people never learn to drive because of the fear of learning to drive, they don't want to. But if they just got behind the wheel and they learned a little bit now
practice.
And they little bit here, and
then
you
go
get
down the street.
better. You start building your confidence up. And that's the main thing is like if you're in inactivity, you're not moving at all, you're at a standstill, right? So nothing is happening. Versus if you're taking some actions, even if they're imperfect actions, you're going to start figuring out the way. You're going to start figuring out what you want and what you don't want and where you're headed. And you're going to learn, right, about yourself and about where you're going. And so the main thing is to get into action. Don't feel like you've got to have it all figured out before you go and then work on figuring it out and pivot
but
and change.
You're doing the action.
You've got to get into the action. And so many people are afraid of the action because
what somebody's going to say.
I don't want to fall on my face. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to go over here and do this. What happens if this happens?
That's one of the biggest fears too.
How about you just go? Just do. Just be. And then you're going to learn and you're going to start being in motion. And then you get more motion and you start like, oh, okay.
This is nothing.
You start getting these little wins. You start getting the confidence. You get the wind at your back. It's like, oh, okay. Motion. It's about the action. You've got to start taking the action imperfect. It doesn't have to be great.
No matter what.
It doesn't have to be huge strides. Little steps will get you there.
Yes.
But you got to get going. So get yourself out of the inaction, get yourself into motion, get
step
yourself
into
moving and start going. And you're going to start figuring out along the way, oh, I can take bigger strides. Oh, I can actually run with this. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I need to slow down over here. I need to go. And you learn by doing. The more you do something, the more you learn about it. But you've got to be in the motion to get there.
It will get easier for you.
Yep, for sure. How can I balance being a good parent and taking care of myself without feeling guilty or selfish? This is the major question for most people, right? It's like that mom guilt or that, how can I take care of myself when they need me? Or it's like
you're neglecting somebody else.
It's like, it's not an either or, it's an and.
You can
be a great parent and you can take care of yourself. And actually, you're going to be an even better parent by taking care of yourself.
You'll be around longer.
You're going to be around longer. You're going to be a better example to your children.
Yes.
You're going to have a better outlook on things. You're
They're
going to be able
follow.
to help you. You're going to be able to help them more. You're going to have more bandwidth, more energy, more, gusto for life because you're taking care of you. So it's not selfish. It's actually selfless.
It's a part of being a parent.
To take care of yourself. It's not an either or. Most people are like, well, I'm a parent now, so there goes that. I'm just going to love myself. It's like, no. Because you are a parent, you have more obligation now to do more with your life, to become a better version of yourself, to push past the things you didn't think you could do. That should be your motivation even more now, because now you have someone else that's relying on you.
Bring them along with you.
Someone else that's watching you. Someone else that you need to be an example for, which is your children. You're their first example. Be a good one. Right?
Yes.
And that starts by you taking care of you. And you can show, look, I take care of myself, so I can take care of you.
I eat this way. I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
I'm taking care.
Working out. Yeah. Taking care of my body, my face, my hair,
my mind, and my body. I take
what are you
care
feeding
of
yourself with?
So that I can take care of you.
Yes,
Just like you want to feed your children, you want to give them nutrients, you want them to get out and go for a walk, you want them. It's like you now have an even bigger responsibility and a reason to take care of yourself so that you're around for your children. So you're a good example for them. And so you got to stop looking at it as an either or. It's not an either or, it's an and. You're a parent and you're a person, right? And when your kids grow up and they go off, don't you want them to have the example of, when they have kids, do you want them to neglect themselves, take care? No. You want to be the example. Look, you can do both.
For that.
Right? You could handle more things than once.
And they're going to talk about it all the time. I love the hikes we went on with mom and dad. They're reading all the time. I started reading. I started grabbing their books. Look what's in the pantry. All this
good,
great
healthy food.
I can just go in the fridge and grab anything.
And again, you're giving them value in themselves because you're showing them the value that you have in yourself. And so, the work instills the worth. By you putting in the work, you're showing yourself and your children that you're worth it, and so are they. And so these little shifts, like it's the little things, like instead of being selfish, no, I'm actually being selfless. Instead of saying, it's an either or, no, it's an and. It's these little changes, little shifts, little word. Instead of either, it's and, right? It's not, I'm not doing this, I'm doing and.
Consistency.
It is.
Is going to help you.
Day in and day out. Now, does that mean every day is perfect?
Nope.
No. Does that mean some days stuff's going to happen? You're like, you know what? Today just did not. I'm just going to cross. We're going to go to bed.
Jump right back on the horse.
And we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a brand new day. Fresh, clean slate. Hey, sometimes you have those days, like the gutter days, right?
Shower it off. Shower it off.
Let it go. Leave it. And tomorrow or this moment is a brand new moment. And so what are you doing right here, right now? That's all that counts. That's all that matters, right? We can't worry about what happened in the past. We can't, think about too much what's going to happen in the future. We have right here, right now. So make the best of the moments that you have, because that turns into your lifetime. And your children are watching you. And that should be the biggest motivator and the biggest reason for you to take care of you.
Correct.
All right.
Amen.
How can I break down my long-term goals into manageable chunks and create a 90-day plan like you had talked about?
Doing everything, planning it out in reverse. Figuring out what you're going to do on those daily actions.
And, the long-term goal, how long are we talking, right? I mean, we can have like
year,
the
5
10-year,
years.
5-year. I would say like in the next 1 or 2 years, where are you wanting to be, right? And if we take the next year, it's like, okay, here's where I want to be a year from now. Awesome. Great. We've got that, right?
Got your
That's
90-day
the first
plan.
step. So now it's like, okay, in order for me to get where I want to go, what do I need to do over these next 90 days, over these next 12 weeks, over these next 3 months, right? To get me closer to where I'm wanting to go. And so you're going to pick a few little things out of that. And from that, you're going to work on those things right here, right now. And so you're going to say, well, you know what? A year from now, I want to run a marathon. Okay, great.
Okay.
So if you want to run, where are you at right now? Do you run it all? Well, if not, then we need to go, maybe the couch to 5K, right? Or, couch to 10K. Like, you got to get moving. You're going to have to progress, right?
Right. And that's going to take the way you eat, what you're doing,
your training,
what you're training, how to run correctly.
And so,
that's stamina.
That's one thing. And so what can you do over the next 90 days to get you closer to that, right? Maybe it's like, at the end of a year, I want to be eating better, or I want to lose X amount of pounds, or I want to, have learned this, or I want to do that, or I want to have X amount of dollars in my account, or I want a better relationship with my spouse, or like fill in the blank, right? These are specific and unique to you, but wherever it is that you're saying you want to be a year from now, how are we getting there? We can only deal with here. So 90
increments.
days is a good time block to work with. It's like, okay, so what actions do I need to take over these next 90 days?
And those are important ones. Those are your stepping stones.
Those are the ones you're doing right now.
To get you where you want to go.
And then when you get past that 90 and you get to the next 90 day window, you're doing the same thing. Okay, what do I need to do between these next 90 days to get me where I want to go?
Yes, and they're going to tweak, and they might not even be the same.
And so the closer you get, the more specific you can be on this.
Yes.
The main thing is to get into action, to know where you want to go, and then work backwards on how to get there by taking consistent actions each and every day. And that's how you break down the big into something that's doable on a daily basis. Because you say, okay, I want to be here. Well, in order for me to get there, what do I need to do in this time window? And then the next one, and then the next one. And then the year's going to come, the year's going to go, and you look back, okay, I did the actions, and I got there. Or I didn't do anything, and I didn't get there. Or I came close, or I surpassed it.
Coming close is still great because you did the motion and you did the work.
You keep moving. A year from now, you shouldn't be saying the next year you want the same things. You should be growing and pushing and expanding.
Do a triathlon.
And challenging yourself, right? And we're not saying you need to run a marathon. That was just the example, right?
That's something I'm thinking about I might want to do for myself.
Okay.
So that was a good one.
So again, it's like, what do you want? And you should always be challenging yourself and pushing yourself and moving yourself in a direction that's challenging for you. Someone who runs a marathon all the time, that's probably not what they want to do over the next year. Maybe they want to make a better time, right? So then how are they going to do that?
They're always training.
Little things along the way. So again, this is all specific and unique to you, but the main thing is know what you want and then break it down into bite-sized pieces, daily steps and daily actions on how you're going to get there. Because the time is going to come and the time is going to go. And so it's what you do with the time that you have that gets you the results at the end.
Creating that plan.
How can I find the motivation to prioritize self-care when I have so many other responsibilities?
That's right in line with the other question we had.
Well, I think you have to make yourself a priority.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself, the responsibility you have first and foremost is to yourself, right? And so if you're not putting yourself on that list of responsibilities that you have, we need to tweak and shift and change that because you should be the top priority on your list. Now, again, that does not mean you're being selfish. That does not mean you spend 24 hours a day taking care of you and focusing on you. But you find the time and you start saying, you know what? I'm going to go get that facial. You know what? I'm going to take that walk. You know what? I'm going to go buy that outfit. I'm going to get that massage. You know what? I'm going to go read that book.
And not feel guilty about that because it's for you because you take care of their whole family. And it's not even... So you're worth it.
Yeah, and it's not even things you have to buy. You can say, you know what? I'm just going to go outside today and stand out there and breathe, fresh air in for 10 minutes. I'm going to get the sun on my eye, on my face and my eyes.
Take a walk and clear your mind.
I'm going to take this Saturday. I'm going to take a little bit of time first thing in the morning before everyone wakes up. I'm going to fix myself a cup of coffee and I'm going to curl up on the with a good book and a blanket. Again, it doesn't have to be all these huge things. It's taking time for yourself. The little things. It's carving out those little times. And so part of the responsibilities you have is the responsibility you have to yourself because you need to be the best version of you so that you can handle those other responsibilities that you have the way that they need to be handled.
And telling yourself that you're worth it. Because you are. Just take time for yourself because other people take time for themselves, so how come not you?
And a lot of people, though...
You're important also.
Excuses. It's just like an excuse. I don't have the time. So you don't want to make the time. And some people don't want to spend time with just themselves because they have to look at themselves in the mirror and they start to asking questions of themselves and it kind of opens up a can of worms. So if we can just stuff it down and say, I don't have time. I'm not a responsible. I got so many other things. You're not ever, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what about me? What needs to change? What about me do I need to shift? What do I want? Why am I continuing?
You got to do a lot of work. If you feel that way, you got to do a lot of work on yourself.
And that's the problem with most people is they don't want to identify the work they need to do themselves. It's easier to point it out in everybody else.
Move ahead, you have to. It's a must.
It's easier to make the excuses. It's easier to argue for the limitations. It's easier to say why you can't, or to blame somebody else. Again, when you take time for you, things can come up in that, and you have to be ready and willing to accept that and to deal with what emerges from that.
Yeah. Do one thing a day.
Yep.
One thing for yourself a day.
Start
there.
And then you can do the next. And then
two.
And then, maybe just look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself some affirmations that you love yourself and that you're worth it and you're worthy of these things. Yes. Because what you believe, what you've told yourself, it shows in the actions, right? And so if you're always at the back, if you're never taking time, if you're always busy, if everyone else gets, you, but you don't ever get you, it's, again, you have to put yourself at the beginning, put yourself at the front so that you can give the best version of yourself to others.
Yes.
And yet you have to be willing to put in the work and the hard work and to have the hard conversations with yourself to be able to grow and expand as well.
Yeah, and strive for more.
How do I deal with the challenges and limitations that come with parenting without using them as excuses?
I think this is a good question in that where are these challenges and limitations coming from? It's a societal thing. It's something that we've been told. Like when you're a parent, you can't do this anymore. When you're a parent, it's about this. When you're a parent, it's this, right?
Yeah.
And so
don't believe that.
Stop buying in to what's being sold.
Since you were a kid, that's what you were told.
Stop taking a hook, line, and sinker and create your own reality. What does it mean to be a parent?
In your own life.
What does it mean? It means that you now have other people that you're responsible for. It means that you are the leader. It means that you are an example. It means you are a teacher. And so if you're a leader, an example, a teacher, and so you need to then lead. By example. You need to put yourself out there and take care of yourself so that you can take care of those in front of you. And so stop buying into, because I'm a parent,
the crap.
because I have responsibilities, because I have children, because I can't do fill in the blank.
Yes.
I can no longer do this. I don't have time for myself anymore. I should just be running
just
around,
Stop that automatically.
juggling everything like a chicken with my head cut off, and going here and going there and saying yes to this and saying yes to that, even though I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because again,
No,
you create
don't.
your reality.
Yes, learn to say no. When somebody who wants to drag all that, you have your time for yourself.
Set boundaries.
Yes.
That's what you have to do. You have to set boundaries, and then you have to change expectations of
You do.
yourself, of what it means to be a parent, expectations of, all of these things that we have as a society that are in movies or in shows or in books. It's like, again, it starts with you. Your children are here because of you. You are the
Yes.
example for
And
them.
Don't forget that.
What example are you setting? How
Yeah.
do you want them to perceive you? How do you want them to see you? Do you
The
want them to
person
see you as
running
someone
around
who's
all
just
the time,
tired,
who
and
has nothing
exhausted,
together,
and needs a drink, and
and
by
the food.
by 5 o'clock
Yeah.
you're just done,
and you give them anything to eat?
and you're just angry and resentful, and
Right.
like, is that who, or do you want them to say, you know what, you take care of yourself, you have energy, you're able to play with them, you're
Right.
able to talk with them, you
Yep.
you
Great
speak well
meals.
to them and to yourself. Again, these are the
Yes.
little shifts, and let go of the titles, and let go of the
Yes.
excuses, and let
Give
go
yourself affirmations also.
of what the world is telling you, and you create your reality. You create
You're in charge of yourself.
what you want this to look like. So what does that look like for you? Each person is different and unique. And so how you're creating your house and your household and your children and the parenting, that's all for you to decide. That's for you to see what works best for you and your family. How is it best for you to do this? How do you feel best? How do you guys, thrive
Yes.
and grow together
Yeah.
instead of growing apart? And right now, there's a
That
major
will put
wedge
you apart.
that's being put between parents and children. It's like we should be embracing and coming together as a family and stronger
The family
together,
unit.
not breaking apart because
And
right?
everything in society right now is pulling that apart.
Right. It's like
Everything.
we should be coming together. We should be the nucleus. We should be where they learn first and foremost how to
Yes.
do things, how to take care of things, skill sets. And first, like, where that starts with you. Where are
Yes.
you at? How are you being the example? How are you taking care of yourself? How
What are you
you
watching?
doing these? How are you
Yes.
embracing it? And
Yep.
where are the boundaries and the guidelines? Say, nope, I'm not buying
Nope,
into that.
Or
Nope,
I'm not going to watch or listen to
that's
that.
not for me. Nope, I'm not buying. It's you get to decide. You
Yes.
get to choose. This is your life. These are your children. This is you get to decide how that looks and how that feels and how
Yes.
you navigate
And
these
they
things.
need that.
They do.
They need it because when that comes at your child, you know that they're going to be able to handle it. They're strong enough to handle anything that comes in their way because you taught them correctly and you kept the positive things in their life.
And then you also show them, like, life happens, right? And you show them the struggles. You show them the challenges. You show them, like, look, it's not always peachy keen. It's not always hunky-dory. Not everything's always perfect. But guess what? We deal with that resistance. We play with that. We work through that. And we come out stronger on the other side, right? You don't need to
Correct.
shield your children from these things. You need to show them, like, look, yeah, we have some challenges. We've had some hurdles. Oh, you know what? This is over here. And how are you overcoming that? How are you handling that? How are you shifting
Yes.
that to a learning lesson for yourself and for them?
Yes.
Because things are going to come up for them too. And when you show them how to handle challenges and adversities and setbacks and not be a victim and not wallow and
Yes.
not stay down,
That strengthens them.
you're then being the example and you're helping them navigate that as well. And so that way you're giving them tools. You're giving them
Yes.
things that as they grow and as they continue, that they're able to handle things that come their way as well.
Yep.
And that they understand that not everything's perfect. Not everything happens just instantly. Not everything's, easy and smooth sailing. You
No,
got to have the
it's
challenges
not.
and the setbacks. And that's okay. That's
And don't
life.
hide it from them.
It's life.
Certain things they don't need to hear and certain things you can talk about.
Right, and it's age appropriate, right? It's like, okay,
Yes.
when they're 2, it's going to be a different conversation than when they're 12 or they're 15 or they're
Yes,
20, right?
Watch what
and,
you show them.
And so you're continuing to show and to grow together as a family, and that's really the beauty in having children. Is like you now have someone that you're responsible for, someone that you're helping to mold and you're helping
make
to
into a beautiful
show
person.
them the world.
Yes.
So what are you showing them? What are you teaching them? What are you telling them? And I think
And
that'll
that's
be
an important
our
thing.
parting thought here is
Yes.
what are you doing How are you navigating life? Take an assessment of yourself and where you're at right now, and where can you work on things? How can you embrace things? How can you, how can you do better?
What are you going to do together as a family to bring that unit closer? Because since everything is pulling it apart, the iPads, the TVs,
all
this stuff, and games,
the obligations that we need to go to this party, we need to go to that party, we need to go to this. We got 50 sports that we're going to do, plus this the piano lesson.
10 sports at once.
It's like no, pick one or two, and then still have life, right?
Yes.
Let them sometimes sit and not be together. So busy.
Yeah, until they go to bed.
Right, you don't want them to start when they're children being, I'm busy. I got.
They don't like baseball anymore. Why? Because you had everything else all included with it. How come they don't like this? How come they don't like the piano anymore? Because you forced it on them.
And so let them choose the things that they're wanting to do.
That they
but
like.
They don't need to do everything all at once, right? They need some quiet time too.
Yes.
They need some space too. But they also need time to be together as a family as well. Because that's where it starts. It starts at home. It starts with where you guys are going together. And so, yes, having those few things, great. But you got to have boundaries on that as well, and not constantly just spinning your wheels.
Yes.
So as we bring this Q&A to a close.
Yes, thanks for all the questions.
Think about some of these things. Don't just listen. Actually put, a lot of
motion.
The reason we like doing these Q&As is because most of the time, if someone else has the question, there's a lot of people who have the same question, right?
Always.
And so what questions resonated with you? And then what are you going to do with it? Because if you're just listening and not actually applying, nothing's going to change, right?
No.
In order for things to change, you have to actually take the information and put it to use to cause the change to happen. And so look at yourself, look at your family, look at your obligations, look at where you're at, and how can you make tiny shifts, and how can you change perspectives and let go of things that are no longer serving you to move closer to where you're wanting to go. That is the whole purpose of this Can-Do community. That is the whole
and we're
purpose
here for you.
of what we have going on, is so that you know that you guys can do this, right? It's a Can-Do community. It's a Can-Do family. It's a Can-Do mindset. You can do it, right? We can do it, and so can you. So make sure you're getting out there and doing it. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.